Welcome back to Even Tacos Fall Apart. I'm MommaFoxFire, and in today's episode, we're going into the archives to listen to a conversation that was all about raising mental health awareness. This isn't just about sharing stories, it's really about breaking down walls, ending stigma, and making real connections. Mental health is not something that affects only a few of us. It is definitely a part of everyone's life. Whether you are dealing with anxiety, depression, stress, or just trying to manage the ups and downs of daily life. Too often, mental health gets pushed aside, ignored, or misunderstood. People suffer in silence because they fear judgment or don't know where to turn to for help. Today, we're listening back to my conversation with Rissa Reel, a powerful advocate for mental health awareness. Her story is one of resilience and determination. She has faced incredible challenges from dealing with a tumultuous childhood to navigating her own mental health diagnoses. Rissa didn't just survive these experiences, she turned them into a driving force to help others. In this episode, Rissa shares her journey, including an incredible walk she undertook to raise awareness. She trekked nearly 800 miles, facing extreme conditions, and relying on the kindness of strangers. Her journey is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the importance of community support. Mental health advocacy is about more than just sharing stories. It's about action, education, and support. It's about recognizing that everyone has mental health, just like everyone has physical health, and it needs care and attention. Mental health issues can affect anyone regardless of their background, and it's crucial to acknowledge that and work towards a more understanding and supportive society. Rissa's message is clear. It's okay to not be okay. If you're struggling, you still matter. Your feelings are valid and there is no shame in seeking help. Whether it's talking to a friend, seeing a therapist, or reaching out to support groups, the important thing is to take that first step. We all have our battles, and sometimes just knowing you're not alone can make a huge difference. As you listen to this conversation, I encourage you to think about your own mental health and the mental health of those around you. Start conversations, be supportive, be curious, and remember that small actions can have a big impact. Share this episode with someone who might need it, and engage with the community in Discord and on social media, and let's keep this crucial conversation going. Thank you for being here and for supporting Even Tacos Fall Apart. Your engagement and encouragement is what helps spread these important messages and makes a difference in the lives of those struggling with mental health issues. Let's listen into this conversation with Rissa Reel. Her story is raw, real, and incredibly inspiring. I hope you find it as enlightening and encouraging as I did. Stay tuned and let's get started. Welcome to another Mental Health Monday. I am super excited to have you here. Waddles, how are you doing today? Hope y'all are doing fantastic and you had a good weekend. You are refreshed. You are ready for the week ahead. I just found out my AC is not working, so that's a super fun thing. So little extra movement in the room as my fan is on and it's not usually. Thank you so much for that follow. Judge Judy Slayer. What a good name. Wow. Judge Judy Slayer. That is a good name right there. I love it. Really is. It's fantastic. Well, I am super excited to have Rissa Reel with us today. Let me open up a question queue. For those who haven't been here before, we are doing a Mental Health Monday. This is a live session Q&A to talk about a subject related to around mental health. And we have a question queue open. If you have a question for our guest, type an !Q, follow with your question, hit enter to put into chat. And I'll make sure that we ask it while we're having this a wonderful, wonderful conversation. So Rissa Reel is going to talk with us today about her mental health advocacy and journey walking for the voiceless. So a little bit about Rissa. Hey, there's Kev. There you go. Hello, ladies. Two of my favorite people in the world on one screen.
Hey, Kev.
So Rissa started walking for the voiceless to end the stigma of mental health, and mental health has impacted her entire life. Her mother had bipolar disease, and that led to drug addiction and eventually her death 4 years ago. Rissa also endured a childhood of abuse and neglect. She raised her 4 siblings, one having cerebral palsy. She was then later diagnosed after the birth of her second daughter with postpartum depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. After her marriage fell apart, she ended up in 2 relationships that led to sexual assault and domestic violence. She fled for her life in January of 2021 to Burton, Michigan. She started healing and being away, changed her entire perspective, which I completely get. She was free. She was still alive. Rissa decided to help others find their voice and spread her story as far as it could go. On June 22nd of this year, she decided to start her walk on foot, backpacking on a mission to walk as far as she could go. A mission that was to show the world that they weren't alone. A mission to show that life and the walk gets hard sometimes. I got distracted by chat for a second. Hey, Grey Knight, how are you? It's full of storms and pests. It's full of wild beasts and snakes. It gets really dark. You may even reach points of wanting to give up. However, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you never know how far you will make it. A year ago, Rissa was in an abusive relationship that would have ended her life, and as of now, she walked nearly 800 miles from Michigan to Kansas. She returned home on August 15th, will be speaking for NAMI at an event in September, which is really, really exciting, and plans to write a book and share her photography. She discovered on her walk how alone she was not. She endured unbearable heat, many mosquito bites, hives, and rain, slept under a bridge to stay dry, slept in a park with other homeless people in Kansas City. Many strangers offered water, money for food, their home, and even showers. She met people that shared their story of how mental health had impacted their life, and she never anticipated finding out just how little mental health discriminates. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, of color, white, or anything. It's everywhere. Too many lose their battle because they feel alone, and Rissa was miles away from home, and all it took was sharing her story, speaking up, and she was shown love. I have some links for you guys, a couple of Facebook pages, an Instagram, a TikTok, and even a GoFundMe. So if you're interested in supporting Rissa, go visit those links. Go give her a follow. Are you on Twitter as well?
I have started an account, but I really just started it, and I cannot tell you the name of it at this point.
That's okay.
Okay.
That is totally fine. We'll find you on Twitter eventually. Don't worry.
Deborah's already gave me that talk, so yes. I need to get on it.
Yes, absolutely. Waddles, thank you so much for those bits. I appreciate your support. So we'll just kind of start off with, what do you do for a living, and does it help you, or did it help you prepare for and support this incredible journey that you undertook?
So currently I'm just doing DoorDash, and then before my walk I was even doing DoorDash as well, and that helped a lot because it had a lot of flexibility for my children's schedule, to be able to train, to be able to do anything that I needed to do to get ready for the walk, and then now after the walk for events and being able to talk to you, just time to be able to do that. So that's what I do currently. But before this, I was a cook. I really enjoy cooking, and it didn't necessarily help me in the sense of I was cooking on this trip, but it did help me know what I needed to eat, what would keep my body healthy and doing okay. So
yeah, absolutely. You were a cook and now you deliver food. I mean, it's kind of related, right?
Yeah, it's really kind of weird to be on the other side of it, but I don't mind it. Yeah. I enjoy meeting different people. So
yeah. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, that's one of the things I've talked about time and again on here, is that meeting other people is something that you can just continue doing. And when you have the flexibility to do it, outside of work and outside of kids' schedules and all of that, it's really beautiful.
Someone tipped me $40. They didn't even come to their door. They just had me sit their food outside, and they were feeling really generous, and a $40 tip made my day,
Yeah.
So just little stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just make me see all the love out there.
Yeah. So Grey Knight asked, did you ever make chicken tikka masala?
I don't think I have, actually, but it sounds really good. I've heard of it. So just haven't gotten to that venture yet.
I love Indian food. That is one of my favorite things to get at Indian food places, is the chicken tikka masala, because it's so good. So good. Yeah. So, you're in your bio, you mentioned photography, and I can clearly see from your Instagram that you took lots of photos while you were on this journey. So, what has your best picture perfect moment been?
So there was a lot of wildlife and a lot of insects and a lot of different weather to be able to make some really awesome pictures. But I think my favorite one was of a butterfly. I was able to capture this butterfly that was just flying along. I just thought it was very beautiful because it was black and blue, and the way that the blue shined was really pretty. And so it finally landed, and when it landed, I was able to see that its wing was very damaged once it was still. And so it blew my mind because I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell it was flying just fine
Yeah.
effortlessly through the wind, and it landed, and there it was. It had definitely went through some stuff, and it was doing just all right.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one. So, I mean, I was low key stalking you for this whole week, trying
No,
to
that's
prepare
okay.
for this. It's how it goes sometimes. But I saw that
Yeah.
picture of that butterfly. Oh, now I'm trying to find it. Here it is. I've got it. I'll post a link to it in chat. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful butterfly too.
Mhm. And it has
Um,
different colors that it's
mm,
like morphed into from
yeah,
the damage to its wing. So I don't know if
yeah,
it formed it through, the process of transformation, or if it had gotten into a fight. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
yep.
really
It's
cool.
gorgeous. Bite Mark asks, "What is your favorite poem?"
What is my favorite poem? I don't necessarily have a favorite poem, which is really weird because I really enjoy writing poetry. That's actually something that not many people know, but that's something I really enjoy doing. So, I don't have a favorite one though.
Are some of yours? Do you have a favorite one that you've written?
I think my favorite one that I've written is one that I wrote about my mom passing
Hmm.
away, and it just had so much emotion. I was finally in the process of being able to finally grieve her and get into that stage of it, and that poem really helped me let out some stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, grief can take on all kinds of forms, and it's
yes, it
incredible
can.
if you can find something that helps you release some of
Yep,
it. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I agree.
And Kevin said that picture took me from a really dark place that day. Reading her caption on, it came to me in a rough time. Yeah, that's one of those things, is that as you're sharing these, you're tying it to that mental health message, right? And it's one of those you never know who you're going to touch that day, right? And that day it just happened to be Kev, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I'm super happy it touched him. I am glad that he keeps up with my pictures because that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
So.
yep, absolutely. Do you have a serial killer or true crime story that fascinates you?
I really enjoy that you put this question on there. Actually, I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, because I watch so much. Like, I love Forensic Files. I loved watching Dexter, even though it's not necessarily
Oh, I
real.
love that show.
I even like Snapped, which is about like women who just like
Mm-hmm.
break down and kill people. But I think my favorite serial killer is Jeffrey Dahmer, just because I'm completely fascinated with how he was able to convince, like, he didn't even have to convince people. Everyone thought he was just this normal guy doing his
Yeah.
normal life, going about his business, and no one knew what was underneath. No one knew the real him. And he was able to fake it till you make it type thing. And so that's what fascinates me about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that,
Yeah.
and he's a big well-known one, right? I mean,
He
that's
is. Yep.
that's and that's one of those things. So as I was thinking about you on this journey, I'm like, so we asked this question of every guest, because one of my very
Mhm.
first guests was very quickly, that was actually a very long interview, but she had a passion for true crime, and she was like,
Yeah.
a lot of the therapists that I work with actually have a passion for true crime as well. And so then I started asking, I asked the next guest, do you have a passion for true crime? Like, is this a thing? And sure enough, like, there are a lot of people who are very,
Yeah.
yeah, very into true crime. And I think it's there's a lot of psychological things that we could dive
There is
into
for sure.
behind that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but also, whenever you were preparing for this journey, was safety a concern? Like, were you worried
Oh
at
my
all
God.
about this kind of thing?
A little bit. When you're going out there, like for me, like it was like it turned into not even being scared of wildlife. At that point, I knew that that was something I was going to be in. I had to accept that there are animals out there, as long as I left them alone, I hoped that they would leave me alone. But people, that that's something you can't predict. You don't
Yeah.
know what people are going to do or how they're going to react. And so if someone sees me out there with a backpack, someone could assume that I'm homeless. What if they assume that I'm on drugs because I'm homeless, you know?
Hmm.
And some people have a really bad mentality about that. And um or there's, you know, the people that are homeless and you don't know how much they're going to need something more than you do. And so
Hmm.
therefore you don't know how they're going to react in those scenarios. And so that was it was a lot to take in at times, but I honestly was really overwhelmed with how much the bad didn't happen, how much love there actually was instead of the bad. So,
That's
yeah.
great. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, really good.
Mhm.
Kevin asked, okay, if you could bring one thing on your next walk, would it be blueberry Cheerios?
Oh my gosh. I don't think you understand how much I've ate those, Kev. Like they're my staple. And not only mine. Like I think that I love them a lot, but I'm pretty positive my daughter loves them way more than I do. And they're delicious. Like I'm pretty sure they're just a staple for my household now, not even just a walk. So,
That's
yeah, they're
awesome.
delicious.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I have never tried blueberry Cheerios, but whenever you were talking about that on that podcast, I was like, I wonder if my kids would like that.
Oh my gosh. My daughter is 3 and she loves them.
Hmm.
So, if that
Are
helps you
they
any.
are they are they blueberry flavored, or do they have blueberries with the
They
Cheerios?
I feel like they're a really light, like, berry flavor. I don't feel like
Hmm.
they're overwhelming, and that's what I enjoy about them.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
Bite said I have not tried them either, but I'm in. Absolutely.
yeah, do it for sure.
So you started in Burton, Michigan with the goal of making it to California, and you made it to Kansas City. How do you feel about how far you made it?
I mean, 53 days, 54 days is how long my trip was.
Mhm.
I flew back on day 54, and so I really am happy. 800 miles is as far as I made it, and that's pretty
That's
wild. Like,
amazing. Yeah.
that's wild. And so it's further than I've made it in my whole entire life. It's more than what most people would even ever think of or dream of doing. And so I'm not mad about it at all. And it wasn't really about the destination. It was really about the journey and the people that I got to meet along the way. And you know, you don't know where you're always going to end up. Sometimes you can hope and plan and try to make it there, but it doesn't always work that way. But that doesn't mean that you failed, and that doesn't mean that the situation went wrong. So,
Well, and that's kind of life too, right? I
yeah,
mean,
it is
you might
definitely
think
life.
that you're headed down one path, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden, I mean, I wouldn't be here today were it not for several tragedies in my life. And that's
Same.
one of those things that if those hadn't happened, if things hadn't happened exactly the way that they did, hurt and pain and all, it would be completely
If
different.
yeah, if I would have not had to go through my abusive relationship, if I would have not had to flee for my life, I would have never done
Hmm.
this walk. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I definitely agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Kev said, I did put you on Cheeto Max. I'm your all foodie. They finally had the hot Cheetos Cheeto Mac and the jalapeno Cheeto Mac, and I have a box of each sitting in my pantry waiting to be tried.
Oh
Just,
my gosh,
just
that's
so
great.
you
I love
know.
mac and cheese.
Have you tried the Cheeto Mac and cheese?
I have not. I actually haven't first of all, I haven't ate mac and cheese in a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I have not. I'll have to check it out though. I'll have to check it out. My son doesn't like mac and cheese, so I have to like find a time where it's like just
Yeah.
me and
Right.
then I have
Right.
to eat a whole pot of mac and cheese at some point, and so just like try to figure it out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to
Yeah.
try it though.
It's good. It's very orange. Like, it's very orange.
Does that like turn you away a little bit? Like, does it
A
scare you?
little
Like, oh
bit.
my
I'm
God,
not
why
I'm
did
not gonna
you do
lie. I'm not gonna lie, when I poured it into the bowl after I mixed in the cheese and everything, I was like, wow, this looks very unnatural. But
this?
I
Hey,
mean,
you know what? If you already bought it and you already know that you're eating, you know, Cheeto mac and cheese, then you might as
yep,
well just be down that it's orange. So
yep, absolutely. So what has been the worst moment or part of your walk, and what has been the best and most memorable?
the worst part of my walk was mosquitoes. I absolutely hate those things.
Ugh.
I thought I was gonna come back and like I don't know what I was expecting, like for the mosquitoes to all die and them to never be found again when I came home from the walk, but that's not what happened, and I was really sad. And
Oh,
so, They were the worst. It was definitely torture. There were times that I literally, that was like part of the reason why there was times that I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore because I was just
Hmm.
itching so bad, or you were scratching them open and oh my, it was terrible. But aside from that, the most amazing thing were the people, and I know that I keep saying that, but I met so many different people, so many people with different stories and backgrounds and culture, and I met many people that didn't even like care to ask my story, but helped anyway. Like I had someone that
Oh,
just
that's
left
great.
$20 under our stroller for lunch, and they didn't ask us anything. They just saw our tent and they're like, "Hey, here you go," you know. And that's
That's
amazing.
great.
People that
Yeah.
just help for no reason. And there's a lot of love out there, and it just showed me how alone I'm not, and how alone we feel like we are. And but we're not, and we just have to speak up. We have to just put our story out there and be open for the help, be open for people to be there for you, because that's what
Yeah.
matters. You
Yeah.
can have people offer help all the time, and if you don't accept it, then it's not getting you anywhere. You have to realize that you're deserving of the help and that you deserve the love. So
Hmm.
that was really helpful for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great that you had a lot of people just like no questions asked. Here's some help.
Yeah. Even just water. They were like, "Oh my God,
Hmm.
it's hot. Here's some water." Or I'm trying to think, just coming into the restaurant and they'll hear us talking about it and just buying our dinner, and it just the small things, or people just stopping to ask and then sharing their story, because that was really the most amazing part, not the money, not the extra nice stuff. While it did and was amazing and helped, it was the people that shared their story of how mental health had impacted them, or why it had meant so much for me to be doing what I was doing. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So you did this with other people?
I did this with one other person. His
Hmm.
name is Matt Corson. He found me and he joined the cause, and he was my partner in crime throughout the whole thing. And he really helped me through some hard days and vice versa. And I am really grateful for him.
That's great.
Yeah.
Were there any particular challenges of doing this during the pandemic, or was getting away from the news kind of a welcome respite for the most part?
It was pretty nice to get away from like the social media and the news of hearing about it
Hmm.
all of the time. However, it was like if I felt bad or if I complained about like, not feeling the best, then it was like, oh my gosh, do you have COVID? You need to go get tested.
Hmm.
And that was definitely not the case. A lot of the times it was just my allergies, or just, the fact that walking that much and doing that much is a lot on your body. And so it was just I wasn't taking enough rest, and that's what happens. Sometimes it catches up to you. So it was really frustrating to be like, oh my gosh, COVID is here and it's the cause of everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't too bad though.
I mean, I would think getting away from a little bit of the news of it, but I mean, there's like it still exists. You're still aware that it exists, right? Like
Yeah.
you're still
Yep.
knowledgeable about it. You still know what's going on. You know, you
Mhm.
haven't been hiding under a rock, but now you're not hearing about it
Yep.
24/7
Yep.
because you're out doing something super
It
super
was a little bit,
meaningful.
yeah, it was nice to have like just the normalcy of not hearing about it all the time,
Hmm.
not having that worry in the back of your mind
Yeah.
all the time. It's really nice. So.
Yeah. Every time I open Twitter, it's like COVID news for Texas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you can't even turn on the radio in the
No, you
car, and it's
cannot.
like you're hearing,
Yeah.
it's so sad. I can't even do it.
Yeah. No, every time. Well, and I mean, right now, a lot of the news is about the hurricane, right? But
Mhm.
hurricane, Afghanistan, and COVID, like it's just on a rotation. Hurricane, Afghanistan, COVID, hurricane, Afghanistan, COVID. Like it's just
It's really intense
constant.
stuff. It's yeah, yeah, yeah,
Did
yeah.
you listen to like podcasts or music or anything while you were walking?
I did. That was not like I did listen to Kev's podcasts
Hmm.
just because I had found out about him and he had reached out to me, so I got to listen to some of his stuff, and his stuff helped me on some pretty hard days. It helped both
That's
me and
great.
Matt on some pretty hard
Yeah.
days. And then music is like my whole thing. I really love music so much. It's helped me through a lot of times, and so there were definitely some days that I was willing to sacrifice if I got killed because my phone was dead and I couldn't contact anyone because I listened to music. I was okay with that.
Yeah.
So that was okay. But music is my thing, and so I enjoyed music on
Yeah.
the trip.
Yeah.
It
That's
makes you
great.
think sometimes. Sometimes that's all you need is just to flip on a song. So
Hmm. Well,
yeah.
I know whenever I work out, like if I don't have music, I'm like, why am I doing this again?
Yeah. Yes. Felt that.
Speaking of which, could I get a shout out for Laugh for a Purpose in the chat, please? Just so Laugh for a Purpose is the reason that we're here today together, right? He connected us. He said you two should get together, so we're here. If I could get a shout out for him in the chat, he just started to stream as well, so you guys go give him a follow. He's fantastic. Just little side note plug awesome. There. And if you haven't listened, yeah, and if you haven't listened to his podcast, it's laughforapurpose.com. The number 4 instead of spelling it out. So it's fantastic. So how does what you do and what you did raise awareness? Did very many people stop you while you were walking to talk? And do you think that was more driven by what was written on your backpack, or the exposure from news organizations or social media, or what do you attribute that to?
So I think, so before I started the walk, I had already been promoting it a little bit on social media, as much as I could. I had reached out to the organization that I was raising money for and raising awareness for, and I, was able to get some awareness through that. However, I think that it just helped with just sharing my story, opening up the platform so other people were able to talk about it really helped. And of course it was the backpack. Of course it was the social media and the news outlets, because that really matters. That's how you get known. That was the whole point. I'm going to do something crazy to bring awareness to this. And so if you do something crazy, people care. People care about action. People care about drama. And so walking across the country is definitely drama. It's definitely wild. And so it's going to draw attention. And that's what I hoped for. And so having a big green cover on my backpack that said I walked from Michigan when you're in Missouri, definitely it raised eyebrows and raised questions, and that was the point. And so once I was able to share my story, people were able to open up to me, and that was awesome. So it was wild. I would get not a lot of people know this. I haven't talked about it a lot, but I would write notes on the Katy Trail. So the Katy Trail is the trail that runs through Missouri. It's the longest rail trail in the country, and it's really an amazingly beautiful trail. And so each trailhead, which is the stops that the trail made, or the train made on that trail whenever it was a rail trail, or I don't even know how you want to describe it, but I left notes talking about how we were walking, we were on this day, we were here on this day. And so I showed the cause, and then I left our information about social media, and there were people that would find our social media, share the picture, and say, hey, I found this. That's and you made my day by seeing this. And it's just crazy how something that small, just a note, can impact someone's day. So
yeah, that's wonderful. Well, and so you think about it, if you're out walking, right, and you're out enjoying nature, and you see this note, and you're like, oh, what the hell is this? And so you go over to it, and it's something super positive and overwhelmingly good. That's just, it's like you're already in a good space because you're out enjoying nature. I mean, I guess if nature's your thing, you're out enjoying nature, which, I mean, I don't know. I know very few people who wouldn't enjoy something like that, but and then you come across this thing, and it just lifts you up that much more. I'm really glad that they took that extra step to actually reach out to you and say, look what I found.
Yep. I loved seeing their messages whenever they share the picture of the note. It made my day. So, it was really cool how it shows you how small, even just waving to someone can make someone change their whole day and how the course of their day goes. They could be completely having a terrible day, everything's going wrong, and finally a stranger waved to them. They must mean something. They must be here for a reason. And then maybe they get what they needed done that day because you waved to them. So
yep, absolutely. Awesome. So, for those of you who have been here before, you'll know that this is pun intended, but walk us through a day in the life of this walk. What did you have to do every day?
Okay, so I wrote it down. I want to make sure I get this right here. Okay, so starting off this day on your walk, you wake up in a pool of your own sweat because it starts off so warm because it was in the middle of summer, and the tent pretty much cooks you. You get out of the tent to pee and try not to get it on yourself. I had that happen one time, and it's not a good time. And then you get your tent, your sleeping bag, all of that packed up, get your bag ready, dig your food out for the day, or not for the day, at least for the morning. We would eat cold oatmeal for the morning time, a pouch of baby food. That's great for backpacking, by the way. You get some fruits and it's nice refresher, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
for the food that you're able to have. And then you just start walking. Walk as far as you can walk. We get anywhere between 10 to 20 miles a day. And we'd pretty much stop where we fell that day because we were so tired, and then set up
Mm-hmm.
tent. And after we got the tent set up, we get our bags taken off, and we would charge our phones, and then we'd eat some food. We ate instant mashed potatoes, cold mashed potatoes for dinner, some tuna, and then later on we were able to figure out that pickles were really good in cold instant mashed potatoes, so that was able to be on there. And then
Pickles and instant mashed
we
potatoes.
yeah, it was really good actually. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it's something that I would probably enjoy again, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And then you just go to sleep and you repeat. So that's the
Yeah.
day of walking. Not
Yeah.
much to it, but there's a lot that, it's still a lot. You wouldn't think of all the stuff that goes into it because every time that you stop to pee, you have to take your backpack off. Yeah, like for
Mm-hmm.
me as a girl, I had to dig out my thing that I used so that I did, I could pee outside, and then get your backpack back on, and just small things like that that really mattered. Digging through compression sacks in a backpack uh daily, I tell you what,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you really rethink really rethink how you pack things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of different things that went into it,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a pretty cool experience though.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you don't necessarily think about. Okay, well, I'm gonna go for a walk and it's gonna be a long time, but how do you stop to pee? Like, there's
Yeah.
not gonna be, if I'm thinking about, so I live in Texas, and if I'm thinking about, I'm gonna drive even just down to my parents, like there are long stretches where there is nothing.
Yep. Yep, and that's how it goes. You have to really plan out. And like I would even force myself before we left the town. I'd be like, okay, there's another gas station. Let's go pee again. Make sure it's all empty.
Yep.
That way it saved me time on having to do it later on the trail. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not terrible. We thankfully didn't have to go number two outside. I was really grateful for that. I'm sure one day that'll happen, and I will appreciate a toilet even more. So
Yeah.
yeah,
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 for sure. We call that the magic potty whenever we're going somewhere. Where I tell my 7-year-old, okay, you need to stop at the magic potty because if you go in there and sit down, you're going to have to pee.
yep, yep.
Hey, Esfion, how are you today? We are talking with Rissa Reel. If you are just joining us, we are talking to Rissa Reel, and we are talking about her journey of walking for the voiceless and mental health advocacy. So, what did you do for self-care while you were on this walk?
That's a really good question, actually. Self-care was actually pretty hard. You're outside, you're very limited on what you're able to do. Some days you're not even getting showers, you're not able to have anything. Sometimes you just stink. Like I didn't even know if like my deodorant was working at some point. And so I would do it in other ways, like using my phone battery a little more so that I could listen to music that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I would take time to focus on my breathing while I was walking because that was something that that was actually really helpful because meditating is something that's part of my self-care at home. So breathing is really helpful with meditating, and it really helped me through some of the heat of the summer. And so that was a really good way. Good showers, just whenever I was able to take that time to take a good shower,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to do that. Dryer sheets, I really enjoyed when I was able to stop and do my laundry, that I had some clean smelling clothes, at least for a day or two.
Right.
um and that really mattered. So that was my self-care. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys stop at like the trucks? Yeah, like the truck stops and everything for their showers, or were you able to find people who would let you use their showers along the way?
So it was actually worked out. We didn't have to go too terribly long. I think the longest time was like 4 to 5 days, and that was
Mhm.
really bad just because of how hot it was.
Right.
We were able to have people offer their home. Like we had someone offer their home that we stayed in for the night, and they offered a shower. We stayed at this one place that was a campsite in Marthasville, Missouri. It's called the Katy Caboose, and it's just literally a little caboose that someone had bought, and it's a restaurant. They make little food and ice cream. You can't even sit inside. It's an outside sitting place because it's so small. But they do camping, and so it's free unless you take a shower. Well, they had the shower that was a shed. It's a shed shower, and someone had Jimmy rigged it to where there was the shower inside of this shed, and we took a shower. It was actually a really
Yeah.
nice shower. We really needed it, and so there's a lot of different ways. We even did a hose shower. There was a
Mhm.
campground that was like, we don't have any showers, but we do have a hose. So that's what we did outside with our clothes on. We took a shower with our clothes on and with the hose, and that was okay. It was better than nothing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it worked out all right. We ended up being okay with showers, so not too bad.
Yeah.
Could have been way worse.
Yeah. Bite said I had to walk from one building on my kids' campus to another building, and I was already sweaty. I can't even imagine walking all day. Yeah, and you did this during the summer. I mean, you started in June?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mid-June and then finished mid-August. It was pretty intense. And Missouri, I tell you what, I've never felt heat until I've hit Missouri to Kansas City. That is some heat, and I was sparkling like a Twilight vampire. That is
Hmm.
how sweaty I was.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, that's not something that I would consider pleasant.
Actually, it was not. It was not. I actually, with my obsessive compulsive disorder, sweating was actually a really big trigger for me. And also due to childhood stuff, I was able to work through it. I understand now that that's just part of your body's response. You got to do it to be able to live. Your body needs to sweat. And even though it's not fun and it feels gross, it's needed. And so I was able to accept that and it's not triggering now. And so that's really something that has helped me from the walk.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you had a breakthrough with one of your triggers. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was intense oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Matt. He had to deal with me on I think it was like, I want to say like day 5 or 6, where I just one morning I was so cranky because it was like 8 o'clock and I was sweating profusely and I was so upset. I was like, why am I gonna be so wet? And I was freaking out, and he just let me do my thing, let me freak out, and then I just had to accept that that's what it was and just keep going. So, I was pretty happy that by the end of the journey, I was wet and that was all it was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
At least I was wet to be able to cool down a little bit, and
Hmm.
I was grateful for it by the end of the trip.
Yeah, that sweating part is that, I mean, that's one of your body's mechanisms for cooling itself
Mhm.
off. I mean,
And it
did
did
you
help a lot.
did you have to deal with any heat exhaustion or heat stroke on your trip?
I think that's actually why I got sick one of the days.
Mhm.
We were walking from a quarry where we had stayed the night before all the way to Sedalia, and I think it was about 19 miles that day, and it was really, really hot. Like there was no wind. We were shaded for part of the trip, and then we got into near Sedalia, and it was just straight hot, straight no shade. We were walking in the brutal sun, and it, I got to the hotel that day because someone had paid for the hotel that night, and we got there, and I literally passed out, and I woke up feeling like poop, and I didn't leave that hotel for the next
Mhm.
day. We bought another night and stayed so that I could rest and just be okay because it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good that you were able to take that time a little bit.
Yeah, I was really thankful and grateful for the people that have helped with the hotels, and that was one of those times. So.
Yeah, that's great. Did you have a lot of nights where people would help with hotels, or was it kind of few and far between?
There was a few nights actually when we got into St. Louis. We had a guy named Nick. He paid for our hotel for 2 nights, actually, and that was really nice. And then we had a guy named Rob, from St. Louis. We had met him on the trail. He had just briefly passed us. He saw my backpack. He asked what I was doing, and then asked how to find us. He found me on Facebook, and he has been a great help since.
That's
And
great.
because of him sharing our stuff, that was the people that had bought for the Sedalia night, when I was
Hmm.
sick. Someone that he had shared the post with, and they reached out to me and they helped. So
That's awesome.
there's
That's
a
really
lot of
cool.
people,
Yeah.
even yeah, just so many people. So
Hmm. Kevin said, especially if you're walking 3.5 miles the wrong way to get your wallet. I heard about this whenever y'all were talking about on the podcast that you had kind
yeah,
of a zero
yeah.
sum day.
Oh, it's not a good. So we had started in this little town. We had gotten 2 miles. We had stopped for a break. I needed to do some more stretches because I was feeling a little rough from sleeping on the ground. So I stopped. I didn't realize that my wallet had fallen out of my backpack on the trail. We got off the trail because we were trying to walk to the train station, walked 9 miles, realized it was not there. So we had to walk 9 miles back. So we had 20 miles
Oh,
in that day and only made it 2 miles as far from where we started.
oh
Yeah.
man.
I'm just glad that my wallet was there. That
Yeah,
was a
no
terrible
kidding.
time. I would have been really screwed if there was no wallet there. I would have been really sad, but I'm glad it was there. And
Yeah.
yeah, it
Or
was
if
just
you'd
a rough
gone
day. It was
back
different.
and it wasn't there, and then you had to look in your backpack and it was just like hidden in your backpack somewhere.
Oh my gosh, I would have been so
I know.
I would have been relieved that I had it, but I would have been so mad that I like
Yes,
didn't feel enough, like that it had just
exactly. Yeah.
oh terrible.
Yeah, no
But yeah,
kidding. So what
yeah.
do you do? You mentioned meditation as far as self-care that you do on a regular basis. So when you're not doing walks like this, what do you do for self-care regularly?
Well, walking is actually one of my things that helps me. That's before I even wanted to do this walk, I was walking. It was something that I started actually walking in the middle of January because I had read that cold helps your anxiety. It helps regulate your body's autonomic system. And so I started going outside and walking in the cold, and then I just kept doing it. And so that's something that helps. I just alone time, just some me time to unwind from being a
Hmm.
mother and unwind from the crazy hectic life that sometimes is and just stuff like that. I like doing my makeup sometimes just for some art. I really enjoy taking pictures and then writing. Writing helps a lot sometimes and there's quite a bit. I've actually been able to implement a lot more coping skills than I ever have in my whole entire life. So I'm pretty grateful for that. So,
That's
and
wonderful.
talking,
Yeah.
venting to people, that's good too,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Bite said, "I was sparkling like a twilight vampire." It's my favorite quote now. I really like that too, especially since it's related to sweat. I mean, I think that paints
Yeah.
the perfect picture.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and it looked like that, I promise. Like there's
Hmm.
no exaggeration.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
I'm glad you like
how did you prepare for your walk? Was there anything that you quickly changed once you started? And what did you do for safety? Was this basically a backpacking trip with a badass mission, or was it something else?
it was definitely a backpack trip with a badass mission, you know? Backpacking trips are not easy. Yes, you get to see a lot of beautiful things, but people take it as vacation and while you get to see the beautiful things, you deal with heat, you deal with bugs, you deal with sleeping on the ground and
Hmm.
I want to just let you all know that sometimes you really don't think about how great a bed is.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the ground is wild. Even just sleeping on a mat is so hard some nights, and you don't get a full night's sleep, and so it's not easy. It was definitely a badass packing trips though, with a
Yeah.
badass mission. But I walked a lot for it. Obviously, I already briefly touched on that. Diet was really important. I have already been on like a weight loss mission. During the course of a few years, I've lost 100 pounds. And so I was losing too much, so I had to make sure I was putting enough protein into my diet and carbs,
Hmm.
and just really being on top of that. And with someone that like struggled with food because I was neglected as a child, that was really hard to just get into the habit of eating properly. Because after I moved out, then I ate,
Right.
and so it was just trying to figure out the healthy ways to do the things. And so, yeah, that was pretty much it. Pack training and just getting ready and being outside. But nothing could have really prepared me, I guess. Like, yes, all that stuff helped, but it was definitely something different than what I had thought it would be. So,
Yeah. Was there anything that in your training you hadn't thought of? Like once you started, you were just like, oh man, I wish I had done this differently and changed it up.
oh, let me think about that because I feel like that's a really good question. Um, hmm. What would I have changed? I guess I wish I would have gone into it knowing that you can't be prepared for everything.
Mhm.
I had made sure I had everything that I needed for this walk, whether it be like a venom sting kit just in case I got bit by a snake to bandit, everything that it could have been. And so I even had like a solar charger, and that would have been great for like desert time or like if I was really far away, but I packed for everything and it wasn't the best, and so therefore it was very heavy and I had to
Yeah.
ditch a lot of stuff, and I wish I would have known like, hey, this is what you will need, this is what you won't need. But now I know for future, which is really helpful. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did
yeah.
you write everything down that you ditched to be like, okay, don't bring this next time?
Oh no, I did not have to write it down. I promise you, when you carry
you,
it all on
you
your
just,
back,
you
you
know.
remember every single thing. Yes, yes. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
That's definitely, I am an overpacker. Like I'm a mom.
Me.
And so whenever
Yep,
I
no,
pack, I'm like,
same.
all right, kids, y'all,
I
here's your packing
understand.
list. You pack
Yes,
everything. Yeah.
yep,
And then I pack all kinds of stuff. So,
yep,
whenever I did go backpacking, it's one of those things that every time I go on a backpacking trip, I would be like, okay, you have to carry this on your back. You have to carry this on your back. Do you really
yep,
need to take this? You have to carry it on your
yep,
back.
yep,
And so,
yep. That's a really good way of putting it too,
yeah.
because yeah, it's intense. So.
Yeah. So you have two kiddos. What do they think about what you're doing?
I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So my 3-year-old, she can't really obviously understand or comprehend what exactly I'm doing. She
Yeah.
understood that I was, practicing with a backpack. Ooh, you got this cool stuff that I can look at and play in, and that kind of stuff. She was really excited for playing with all my supplies. But my son, he was actually quite scared. I had to really sit him down and talk to him because he was scared that I would get lost. So I had to show him my resources. I showed him my map. I showed him my GPS. I showed him my other apps that I was able to use for off trail hiking and all of that kind of stuff. I was able to show him that, and he was able to kind of calm down. And then it became cool, and like, oh my gosh, can you take a picture of a tarantula for me? And can you find a special rock for me? And so it was really awesome because
Mm-hmm.
later on they'll get to see it. They'll get to see kind of what their mom did. But right now it's just kind of a cool, like, uh, I get all this neat stuff kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really neat. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know whenever I went to Korea for work, it was one of those things that my youngest wasn't really old enough to understand what I was doing, but my older kids had questions, and it's like, I brought them back stuff, and that's what mattered to
Yep.
them was what did
Yep.
you bring back?
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
so you mentioned in the past that your father is not supportive of your journey. How do you handle that?
I actually wasn't really expecting a question like that in your questions. So, I really appreciate that you kind of asked that because that's pretty intense. I guess I just try to understand that he is coming from a place of being incapable of understanding what I'm doing. He's not capable of showing me the love that I need because of his background, but he chose to not heal. He chose to continue the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on him. I have to understand that that's on him. But also there's times that I've obviously broke down because it's still my dad,
Yeah.
and I deserve a nurturing parent that supports everything that I do, especially the big crazy ones that are helping people. Um, but in the end, like, I don't know. I guess he just is coming from a place of defense because that's his coping skill, whether it be a bad one. That's his coping skill, and that's what I have to accept. And I have just blocked his number. He's blocked off my Facebook. He was trying to get in contact with like my children's father, and like just too much, you know what I mean? So I just had to really shut it down, and
Yeah.
by shutting it down, he got very mean, and those are where you can't take back words, and that's on him. He has to live with it. So there's
Yeah.
hard days and there's good days. I know that I don't need him and I never have, and I'm doing okay without him. And uh, yeah, he has
I,
his own life and I have mine.
yeah. And I think that's a really important distinction, right? He's a grown ass adult. You're a
Yep,
grown ass adult. You've
yep,
healed from something. He clearly hasn't healed
yep,
from it, or he's not willing to put in the work. And if someone else isn't willing to put in the work and you're willing to put in the work, the only person you can put in the work on is yourself. You can't
yep,
work on someone
exactly.
else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to hear you say, that's on him. It's not on, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not on you to fix him
No.
and make him be supportive. It's on you to fix yourself and work on
Yeah.
yourself and make sure that
Yeah.
you're supporting yourself from the inside. And if you need a supportive parent, you just send me a message.
Okay, great. I shall. I shall. I
uh,
appreciate that.
Oh, Bite, that is a beautiful idea. So Bite said, could you imagine doing a photo scavenger hunt set up entirely by children? Things like a blue rock or a leaf shaped like a cloud.
Oh my gosh, that's
Oh,
amazing.
that's a good photography challenge. I like that.
Yeah. My daughter even will like be like, "Oh my gosh, this is a heart leaf. It's a leaf that's shaped like a heart because a lot of them are." And she's like, "This tree loves me." So yeah, just looking
Oh,
at it from a child, just looking at it from a children's perspective, you can find so much love for the world. And it heals a lot of those inner child things whenever you go back to that place. And you can find the fun in life when you
yeah.
think of things as a kid.
Yeah,
You
I
can
mean,
never be at heart.
right. And it's so hard. Some of us really lose track of what we liked as kids and
Yeah.
what used to bring us joy. And it's one of those things, if you
Mhm.
can get your kids to explain what brings them joy, it might
Yeah.
reconnect you too. I think that's a really cool
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. I agree.
So Kevin said October 10th is a walk to fight suicide in Cincinnati, Ohio. It also happens to be my birthday. So I think it would be a really cool second walk for you. Are you planning to do this again? And will you change anything if and when you do?
So I would love to do this again. I actually was thinking about it and I met a lot of people on my walk that are bicycling and they're bicycling
Oh,
coast to
yeah.
coast. They're doing miles and miles on their bike. And I would love to start bicycling actually. I think that I could get either I want to do it coast to coast within the time that I gave myself to do this walk. I could definitely make it. Or I could just do my route that I was supposed to do this year and actually
Mhm.
finish it. And that's my goal to, at least in the long-term future of next summer. And obviously a lot more adventures. I can't just walk one. I walked the 100 miles. That can't be the only time I walk that far. I have to do it a lot more. I have to go
Mhm.
see the things. So
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely won't be the last time. What would I change? Uh, I guess just trying to not plan for everything. You can't
Mhm.
plan for something like that. And I got to see a lot of really cool things because I didn't plan it all out and I let people help me and give me ideas along the way. And that was what really was amazing about the trip. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't be in control all the time. So, I
Right.
just wanted to leave that. So, yeah.
I have to remind myself of that all the time. I can't be in control
Yeah,
all the time, even if I
you
want to
can't.
be. I'm
Only
bad.
you
I'm
and
bad
you
at
when you
reminding myself about it.
have to. It's hard. Hey,
Yeah.
you're not perfect. You're
Yes.
a person too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's hard.
Do you think that if you switch to biking, do you think it would be less impactful because you might not talk to as many people?
No, because like I said, I talked to a lot of bicyclists. A lot
Mhm.
of people that stopped and asked me questions were bicyclists.
Yeah.
And if I'm stopping to take pictures and I'm stopping along the way, oh, I also wanted to mention I want to take more 0 days. I want to be able to rest a little more and give myself some time without beating myself up because I didn't go far
Yeah.
enough that day. Uh,
Right.
um, and that's the thing. Like, I want to be able to take the rest and be able to meet the people. And I think that I
Hmm.
would definitely get to meet. You're still going that far. There's no way
Yeah.
that you're not going to impact at least one person. And
Right.
as long as I impact one person, that's all that matters. So,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
great. So in your bio, you also mentioned your siblings, and you've talked about your grandmother being supportive as well. Are your siblings supportive, or are there other family members that you've touched through your efforts?
My grandparents have been like my saving grace. They've even like saved my life literally. My grandma's my basically my motherly role. That's the motherly role. She fills it. She's been there always, and so I really appreciate her. I have two younger brothers. They are in service. One is in the Navy, one is in the Army, and they have both done their help with this walk, and they have both shown their support and been amazing towards it. I have a younger sister who is not. I don't talk to her. She's just as toxic as my father, sadly. She developed her own coping skills as well from our childhood, and so therefore we just don't speak. And so I'm
Mm.
not sure exactly what she thinks. Um, I also have had some, like my aunt and a cousin on my dad's side that have reached out and been absolutely supportive and amazing, even when he wasn't. So, yeah, I've had a lot of really awesome people.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good to have, even if, your father or your younger sister or anyone else isn't supportive, it's good that you have that structure of still having that familial support because while yeah, it hurts. It hurts that you have people who don't support you,
Yeah,
who are supposed to be these close family ties. At least you've got some folks who
yeah,
are there to support you and who you can lean on and you can count on
yeah,
for that support. That's
for
important.
sure. It is very important. It's very important to know that you're not alone and that you have support.
Mm-hmm. Did you meet anyone on this walk that you now consider family?
Actually, so many people I have taken down so many different phone numbers, but the guy that I talked about, Rob, who got us a hotel room, he's reached out and his mom also suffered with bipolar disorder, so we've talked about that. His wife, I think her dad or her mom suffered with obsessive compulsive disorder, and so it's just we've gotten to talk about that. Who else like have I met? I'm trying to think. There's a guy who has also walked across the United States. He's walked coast to coast. He actually lives in Michigan, and we've been talking and hanging out, and he's really cool. And there's been a lot of people, and I think the most important person has been Kev, though. While I have not gotten to meet him, he
Aw.
is someone that I have learned of and gotten to know because of this walk. And so
Mhm.
he's been the most important person in helping me on some of my really tough days. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. Kev, I hope you're still here to hear that.
Yeah.
Yep, he is. He said, "Love you,
Awesome.
sis." There you go.
Love you, dude.
So what inspired you to do this? I mean, I know that you mentioned taking the time to heal for yourself, but what gave you the idea to walk across the country?
So it was pretty wild. I moved to Michigan and I started healing and I just wanted to be able to help people. And so I pretty much it was kind of crazy. I quit my job that I was cooking and just started walking at the nature park and I tried to figure out what I'm supposed to do. I'm here for a reason. I've went through all of this for a reason. I know that there's something that I'm supposed to be doing. And so I started thinking about maybe just volunteering with my local volunteer groups, with like feeding the homeless and picking up trash. And then someone had reached out to me on Facebook. They loved all the stuff that I was posting that was positive and uplifting, and they just liked my attitude and vibe. And so they're like, hey, this is really cool. I love it because I'm walking for veterans. And so it's really amazing that there are people out there that are like you. And so he walks for veterans. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, that's what I got to do. I got to do it for mental health. There's so many people dying out there because they feel alone. So let me go out there and
Mhm.
share my story to show that, I guess for me, I started the walk thinking that sharing my story would show people that they're not alone in the sense of I've been through this, maybe they can empathize, maybe they've been through a similar situation.
Mhm.
However, after the trip, I learned that it was to show that people are physically and literally not alone, that all you have to do is speak up and ask for help. And so I started the walk on that mission. Just it's something crazy and it's gonna draw some attention. It's going to stir some pots, and that's what it did. I've been on several news stations. I've been on Kev's podcast. I've been on radio stations. I'm here now. I get to speak for NAMI. And so it definitely drew up some attention. And that was my hope. I want my
That's
story to go as far as it can so
yeah,
that it can impact
absolutely
people.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And I think that, just pointing out that you're not alone. And as soon as you start talking about mental health, and I found this on here, I also found this at work. As soon as I started talking about my own struggles with mental illness, it's one of those things that you'd be amazed how many people just are like, oh yeah, me too. But
yeah.
if I had never talked about depression, if I had never talked about PTSD, if I had never talked about anxiety, if I'd never talked about the things that I struggle with, so I wouldn't know half the people that I know today because they were like, "Hey, me too,"
Yep.
and I definitely wouldn't know the people at work. I wouldn't know them half as well. I wouldn't be able to say like, "Hey, I see you struggling, and I want you to know that you're not alone." And it makes the biggest difference to
The
people
biggest.
once they know that they're not alone.
Yep. It really does. That's why
Yeah.
that's why people kill themselves. That's why I
Hmm.
got so low. That's why I've attempted is because I felt alone, like it was not going to get better
Yeah.
and that no one could help me, that there was no one that could possibly understand what I was feeling or be going through the stuff that I was going through. But
Hmm.
look at how many people there are. Look at how many people I've met that suffer with OCD and PTSD and their mother also had bipolar disorder. as soon as you open that platform, it gives people a comfortability to be able to also speak on that. And that's all you gotta do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring it up.
Hmm.
Bring it up to the surface. Stop brushing it under the rug. It doesn't belong there.
Yep.
So
Yeah, then you'll just have a bumpy rug. No one wants a bumpy rug.
yeah. No, just be walking on that stuff.
So I know that we haven't really touched a lot on your personal struggles and some things that you live with, and PT. We've kind of brushed them, but not really dive deep on them with PTSD and postpartum depression and OCD and living through abuse and neglect. And maybe we can have you on another time to kind of talk about those things and your personal experiences. But for now, are there any resources online or not online for those in abusive relationships and living with some of these disorders that are your favorites that you lean on regularly?
There's so many resources. The ones that I lean on regularly are YouTube and TikTok. I know that that sounds crazy, but TikTok has a lot of really good resources and a lot of really good creators on there that make content about
Hmm.
mental health or struggling. Like there's someone that's called Mental Healness, and he talks about abusive relationships and boundaries, and it has really helped me learn and be able to understand some of the things that I went through and be able to process that stuff. And so if you feel like you're really struggling and you don't know even where to start to begin to find help, just Google it. Google, we have the world at our hands right now, and you don't have to struggle for no reason when there's so much help out there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And for those of you, I know that we've talked a little bit about suicide and we've talked about some other things. So for those of you, if any of you out there are feeling alone today or anything like that, here's a couple of resources for you. Shit, I can never remember what my freaking commands are. Nope, not that one. I don't think it's this either. We're gonna try it. Nope, it's not that one. Hey, fuck. So the one for suicide is right there, and that's got the addiction hotline, it's got the eating disorder hotline, it's got the assault hotline, poison control, suicide hotline, domestic violence hotline, the heart support website, Lifeline. That's the one I'm looking for. And this one has the text numbers, the website, the call numbers, the transgender lifeline. All of those things are there for you. The veterans crisis hotline. All of those things are there for you for emergency situations. And then, as always, we always encourage everyone to talk to a mental health provider. Like, therapists are there to help you. They want to help you. They're out there waiting to help you. So
it's
don't
okay
feel
to
like you're
not be
alone.
okay.
Yep,
Yeah, it's okay to
absolutely.
not be okay. Yep.
Yeah. So does what you have lived through and with help you relate to others in some way? Have there been any times where your experiences or background or diagnoses have helped you really connect with someone else? And I'll say that, and then I'll say maybe in addition to this massive journey where you just spent days and days connecting with people outside of that, have there been any connection moments for you?
There has been, like, I feel like just learning how to fight for my life and being able to learn that I've survived so much, and that it wasn't not everyone went through it. I guess it just kind of helped me be able to, um, understand people a little more, understand that
Mhm.
you can't always judge a book by its cover. You don't know what people are going through. And since I'm able to do that, it makes it a lot easier to connect with people. Once you lose that judgment, once you lose that, um, you don't have to be better than that person. Everyone has their own struggle. And I think that's what's really helped is it's made me a little bit humble and in life. And yeah, I think that's it. I think it's helped me be more humble and more empathetic towards people. And um you can connect a little bit better whenever you're not so mean and bitter and all absorbed in yourself and all of your struggles.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any super memorable stories while you were on that anyone shared with you while you were on this walk?
There were so many stories. I actually want to be able to share all of the stories, and I will one day within a book. But there were some really memorable stories. There was a guy that I met who, day 3, we had walked all day. It was a very long day, and we did not get into the town that we were supposed to stay. We had already arranged camping for the night at a VFW, and so we had to make it there. We got in, it was really dark. It was probably like 10 or 11 p.m. at this point. And this man, we went through a Burger King drive-through walking because it was so late. And we got our food, and after we got our food, he hollered at us, and I was like, okay, it was dark parking lot. He didn't look the best dressed. He looked a little sick. And so, we were a little on edge, and he comes up to us and he's like, how do you do it? How do you survive? It looks like you guys know how to survive. It looks like you're prepared. How are you surviving? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to make it. And he just continued on and told us his whole life story about how he had lost his daughter. She had drowned in a pool, and
Oh
his
my
sister had
gosh.
walked in on the body, and the baby mama had walked in on the body. And so the sister eventually committed suicide, and the mom had eventually gotten onto drugs and overdosed. And then his sons one had been okay, turned out okay, was doing all right for himself, but the other one had went down a really terrible dark place and had even screwed him over, had taken all of his money, left him abandoned with his truck that didn't barely run, and he didn't even know if he was going to live in a couple months because he was going through liver failure because he had drank himself to death because that is how he coped. And
Wow.
he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do. He wanted to get better, but he just couldn't. And so
Hmm.
he asked for these 2 people that he didn't know, asked for their advice. And so we were there. We talked to him for about an hour and a half. Another friend a neighbor actually had given me an AA book, and I didn't know why I had it. I only had one, but I gave it to him, and he promised to see me again, that he's going to see me someday in Oregon, and I hope to God one day I run into him and that he is a lot better. So I
Yeah,
think that
that's
was the hardest
incredible.
story. Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
it
and
really
talk
touched
about
me.
things that you packed that you didn't know why you needed. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
amazing you hadn't dropped it by then. You still
Nope,
had it with you.
I still had it. Yep, pretty wild.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that it's really neat just what you did and just connecting with people that way. It's really incredible.
yeah,
So if you
some
weren't
people just need somebody.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely. So if you weren't doing what you do now, or if you had chosen kind of a different path in life, what would you be doing instead?
I'd probably be cooking. I would love to own my own restaurant and to smoke meat for a living. I really enjoy grilling and making the
Yeah.
best. It's definitely a favorite hobby of mine. Or I would be dead. Like that would be the other life path that I would have went down. Because that's the more realistic path that I would have down if I had chosen to do anything differently. If I wouldn't have chosen to live for myself. If I wouldn't have finally uh found my voice, I would probably not be here today. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So what's your favorite kind of meat to smoke?
all
Oh,
of them.
Bite asked. Okay, hang on,
Oh,
because Bite asked the same exact question. What is your favorite meat to smoke?
all of it. I have smoked a lot of different things. I've done like a tri-tip roast, and that was a lot of fun. I've smoked a whole turkey for Thanksgiving, and I loved doing that. I really enjoy anything. I've smoked bacon wrapped pork chops. I've even smoked vegetables. Like it's so much fun. I enjoy it a lot.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So,
Yeah.
Bite's husband has a smoker, and my
Okay.
dad also has a smoker, and so I'm like waiting for the smoke off. We got to get
Okay.
like
Well, now
all right, you're
I'm
gonna do
ready.
brisket, you're gonna do this, and then we got
Yep.
to have you down to Texas to do something different.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready. As long as no one uses pellets, then I think we're good because then I automatically will win. I'm sorry because if you're using pellets, I'm just kidding. But
I
yeah,
don't know. I
yeah,
don't know if
I'm
Alex
ready.
uses pellets. I know that my dad doesn't. I don't know if Alex does.
Shouldn't use the pellets. The chunks are way better. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Well, they hold moisture better than the
they
pellets do.
do. They help hold temperature. Oh, it's so much better than pellets. So
Wood chips all the way, she said. There you go.
yeah, awesome. Good.
Laugh for Purpose said, I just watched a TikTok where a guy smoked pizza rolls. Hold on. He used a
You can do
smoker to
anything.
cook bacon wrapped pizza rolls.
Ooh, ooh.
Whoa.
That's okay.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
I'm down. And the bacon would probably like cook the pizza roll like crust, and that would, oh, okay. I can see how that would work. That sounds good.
That sounds really, really good. Yeah, link us to that TikTok, Kev, because I want to watch that.
Yeah.
I love some pizza rolls. You can post it straight up in the chat, Kev.
Listen to this.
You're allowed.
I cook a whole bunch of different stuff. Like cooking, I've been doing since I was 10, and my son did a Mother's Day thing, and they asked him what his favorite food was that I cooked, and he put pizza rolls out of all the foods I've cooked. I make the best pizza rolls. So at least I do make the best pizza rolls. So I'm
I
happy
love
about
it.
that.
I love it. Puck, thank you so much for that subscription. I appreciate your support. So it is time now for the Disney magic moment. I got to stop saying Disney. I'm going to get sued one day. Where I have my magic wand here, and I'm just going to wave it. I'm just going to wave it right in front of the camera.
Okay.
And what happens now is you get to eliminate one
Oh,
common opinion, misconception, or theory surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health. So what are you eliminating today?
Let me think here. I guess I would want to eliminate the stigma that it doesn't affect others, that we are alone, that your neighbor doesn't struggle with mental health, or that rich people don't struggle with mental health, or that even our warriors, the people that fight for our country don't struggle with mental health. Some of the people that are deemed the most strong people, it affects everyone, and it doesn't have to be a diagnosis. It could be that you just lost your job, or you just lost a family pet, or COVID is happening and you don't know how you're going to pay the bills. It can just be stress. It can be anything. Mental health is something that is very important, and you have to take care of yourself with it. And so I guess that's what I would change about it, that it doesn't affect others. It affects everyone. It impacts everyone. It doesn't matter where you come from. So
yeah, mental illness does not discriminate at all. And everyone,
nope,
so here's what gets me is not only does mental illness not discriminate, but everyone has mental health. Whether you're having a good mental health day, a bad mental health day, whether you have a diagnosis or something different, you have mental health. Like we all have it.
Yep.
And
Mental
so,
health could be good or bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to open up to any remaining Q&A. Chat, if there's anything that you want to ask Rissa, feel free to pop it in there. And then I will just kind of open it up to you, Rissa, and say if there's anything that we didn't cover that you want to talk about, resources, sites, personal recommendations, anything like that, feel free. I'll just let you talk for a little bit.
I'm trying to think. We covered quite a bit. I'm pretty happy with it. For anyone that's struggling, like I know that sometimes it seems hopeless and you feel like you're not you're the only one. You're the only one going through this, or that it's not going to get better. That you've went through all this hard stuff and all the hard stuff just keeps happening. And when is it ever going to stop? Well, I can't tell you I know when, and I can't tell you that it's going to stop right now or soon, but I can tell you that you've made it this far when you didn't think that you could. And I want you to challenge yourself to see how far you can make it, because just when you didn't think you could make it this far, here you are. So in a year from now, what if you're someone who walks across the country? What if you're someone who does something that changes the world or impacts people? You know, you get to choose that. You get to choose your ending, and you get to choose the next chapter. So just hang on for it. I know it's not always easy, but there's some beautiful things, and I am always willing to chit chat with anyone who needs help. You can find me on my Facebook. I know that she's linked to that. You can find me on my Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. Whatever you need to do, even if you just need to talk to a stranger, like do it. My biggest motto this summer was just do it. If there's something that you're thinking about doing, if you're too scared to do it, that fear is always going to be there. That's not going to change. Just do it anyways. So I heard that I guess to be I'm trying to think of the word that I was going to use. I lost it. It's gone.
That's okay.
It's not there. But yeah, I'm here for anyone though. I care. There's a lot of people out there that care, and you matter. Like it's okay to not be okay. You matter though.
Yeah, your survival rate so far has been 100% because you're here today. And absolutely you matter.
The only reason that your heart is beating is because of you.
Yep.
So
Espion said, I am very strong and had to learn to stop pushing myself as if I wasn't overwhelmed. That is a great point, Espion, because a lot of the time, you can push yourself past the point of breaking before you actually realize that you've broken. And
Yep.
it's not good. It's not good to just keep pushing yourself like that. Everyone has a point. Everyone needs a break. I mean, I hit burnout, this year with my job, and fortunately I had already scheduled some vacation time, but I was struggling. And it was one of those things that I kept telling myself, just hang on, you've got a vacation in a couple weeks. And looking back now, what I should have done is said, hey, I can't do this right now. I need a day off now. Like I'm at that point now. Of course I didn't, because I'm hard-headed, but it's not good. It's not healthy. It's not healthy to do it that way. And then Estienne also said, because I was taught you just had to keep pushing to go through it, but that was just making it worse. Yes.
Yep.
Laugh for Purpose said, Riss, you skipped the question. For October 10th is his birthday. Consider coming to Cincinnati to do the Fight Suicide Walk with me.
October 10th. Yes, I have another event in October planned, but I'm pretty sure it's not the same dates. But I definitely want to be there, especially since it's your birthday. So we will definitely be in contact about it. You have my information, so we'll be chit-chatting.
Yeah.
I look forward to meeting you. I'm pretty sure that this will work out just fine.
So October 10th, I'm like looking at the calendar now. That's a Sunday. Ooh, so my kids have school the next day. Everything revolves around kids during the school year, right?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah. I've got PTSD. I was actually going to ask if I could talk about it this stream, but then you were doing this thing, so I thought I better not. Espion, you're always welcome to talk about whatever you'd like, and we'll continue after this interview is over. We'll continue. You're welcome to talk about whatever you need to. And then there's always the Discord as well. If you're not part of the Discord and you want to get some stuff out, you're welcome to do that. And then also, this is not, I don't run this. I don't have anything to do with running this, but Heart Support's another really good resource. Why isn't that command working? Is it this? I swear it's just HS and I think it's just not working. Okay, well, I'll find a link for you. But Espion, you're welcome to talk about whatever you need to talk about. We're here for you. Well, Rissa, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time today. And I just want to say, like, I'm absolutely impressed with what you've done, and I'm looking forward to what you will do in the future.
I really appreciate that. I really enjoyed talking with you, and thanks for having me on here.
Thank you so much for joining me and listening back to that conversation with Rissa Reel. Her journey of resilience and determination and her unwavering commitment to raising mental health awareness remind us of the strength we all possess, even in our darkest moments. Rissa's story is a testament to the impact of community and the importance of support. Her walk to raise awareness, despite facing numerous challenges, highlights how vital it is to keep pushing forward no matter how tough things get. This is something we can all carry with us in our daily lives. Whether you're dealing with your own mental health struggles or supporting someone who is, remember that every small step forward is a victory. We talked about how mental health affects everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. It's essential to remember that it's okay to not be okay, and seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. By sharing our stories and experiences like Rissa did, we can break down the stigma surrounding mental health and create a more understanding and supportive community. As we wrap up, I want to encourage you to keep this conversation going. Reflect on what we talked about and think about how you can apply these insights to your own life. Reach out to friends, family, or professionals if you need support, and remember that you are not alone. There's a whole community out here ready to support you. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your feedback helps reach more people and helps continue spreading these important messages. Follow me on social media. I'm MommaFoxFire everywhere, and that'll help you stay updated on future episodes and also help find you ways to join the community, whether that's Discord or different social media sites. Share this episode with someone who might benefit from hearing Rissa's story and help keep the conversation around mental health going. Thank you again for tuning in and for being part of this journey. Remember, even when life feels like it's falling apart, we can always find strength and support in each other. Until next time, take care of yourself and be kind to those around you. See you on the next episode of Even Tacos Fall Apart.